Good evening. My name's Dr. Benjamin Chang, and it is so wonderful to be with you. What a year it's been. I remember back to Christmas 2019. I'd never heard of furlough, or Zoom, or even key workers. Weren't they simpler times? I work as an A&E doctor in North London, and about a month ago, I saw a 100-year-old lady in A&E. After I treated her, we got chatting, and she lamented to me saying, "Doctor, I've never seen anything like this pandemic. I mean, I was working through the war, and at least then I could still see my friends." Whoa. The COVID-19 pandemic has turned the world upside down. And 2020 has been marked by misery and suffering and uncertainty. And as this year draws to a close, Christmas has been stripped bare. I don't know about you, but most of the things that I love about Christmas are just not happening this year. The parties, the big carol concerts, the crazy swarms of shoppers, the drinking mulled wine in the pub with friends. It's all pretty much gone. And yet, this year, of all years, doesn't Christmas seem all the more precious? With the year we've all had, doesn't it feel like we all need Christmas more than ever? Ever pause to wonder why? Why is Christmas so precious to us every year, but this year in particular? Well, I think it is because for many people, Christmas means home. Christmas invokes within us nostalgic memories of our childhood Christmases, opening presents under the tree, stuffing our faces with potato, arguing over games of Monopoly. And of course, Christmas is the time for families to come together, when children and relatives come home to enjoy the company of their nearest and dearest. Surely that is why the announcement of lockdown in November was so disconcerting. We could deal with not having the shopping and the parties. But if Boris stopped people going home in December, surely history would have remembered him as the Prime Minister who cancelled Christmas. We are homing creatures, and I think Christmas is precious because for many people, Christmas means home. But of course, for many people, Christmas this year is going to be painful. Tens of thousands of families have tragically lost loved ones this year. And up and down the country, there will be many people who can't go home for Christmas because of sickness, or work, or travel restrictions, or because they have no home to go to. And for all of us, no matter what kind of Christmas we're going to have, we know that come January, the magic will be over. And we will have to go back to facing the cold, hard reality of this pandemic. And our longings for home will still be there, as strong as ever. But might it be that our longings for home are telling us something deeper about who we are as people, and something deeper about what Christmas really means? Because, you see, under the commercialized surface of Christmas lies a strange and mysterious story from the Bible. A story that has echoed down throughout history and in many ways has built the modern world that we know. A story that begins, according to the book of John, with someone called the Word. And what becomes quickly apparent is the Word is God himself, the one who was there in the beginning. And through him all things were made. Without him nothing was made that has been made. And the Bible teaches that God created mankind and gave us a home. A perfect home here on earth, where we could live in perfect joy and peace, free from suffering, free from sickness, free from death. And God looked at mankind in their created home and called it very good. But mankind rebelled against God. We sought to become kings and queens of our lives and of our world, rather than have God as king. And it was disastrous, with mankind quickly finding itself in a world filled with chaos and suffering and death. Surely, if this pandemic is teaching us just one thing, it is that there is something deeply wrong with the world. That this is not the way things were meant to be. And not only so, but because we trashed God's home for us, there's a bill to pay. We are in debt to God. And there's a day in court, a day of judgment coming. But God loved us enough to not leave us that way, but rather he came down from heaven to earth to be born as the baby Jesus on that first Christmas day. As John writes, the Word became flesh and made his dwelling among us. The word originally translated as dwelling here literally means he pitched his tent among us. God set up camp in our backyard. I hate camping. I have never understood why I would willingly give up my bed and shower and central heating in exchange for beetles and wet tarpaulin. And yet, that is exactly what Jesus did. He exchanged the throne room of heaven to be born, not just into our messy, broken world, but in the squalor of a manger, a feeding trough in a borrowed stable. Christmas is the story of the God who made his home among us. And the baby Jesus grew up to become the most remarkable man in history, whose actions and words changed the world forever. And then, in AD 33, Jesus was murdered on a Roman cross. And the Bible teaches that on the cross, in a mysterious way, Jesus paid the debt that we owe God from our rebellion against him. He bore our judgment. He paid our price, so that if we put our trust in him, our relationship with God might be restored. As John writes, to all who did receive him, to those who believed in his name, he gave the right to become children of God. But the story doesn't end there, because the Bible goes on to teach that one day Jesus will come back to earth and he will make all things new. He will cleanse this world from all of its evil and suffering. And those who have put their trust in Jesus will rise from the dead and will live in their new and perfect home on earth with God forever. Could it be that we are homing creatures because there really is a home coming? And that our longings for a home that Christmas taps into is showing us that we are people created for a home yet to come. Maybe the homeliness and nostalgia of Christmas are, in the words of C.S. Lewis, only the scent of a flower we have not found, the echo of a tune we have not yet heard, news from a country we have never yet visited. Christmas is going to be a strange one this year. But as we reflect on the chaos of 2020, and as we feel the longings for home, could it be that they are pointing us towards a God who made his home among us on that first Christmas day and promises to lead his children home?